Hey everyone, today I'm going to do what has very quickly become my favorite part of gardening, and that is making giveaway bouquets. So I just started doing this last year where I will put bouquets together, typically smaller bouquets, not large ones, and leave them out front on the sidewalk with a sign so people know that they can take them. And it's just been even more incredible than I ever expected it to be. So I originally got this idea. There was an Instagram, or there still is an Instagram here in Chicago called With Love Chicago. They are a nonprofit that makes bouquets and leaves them around the city at random places for people to find. And I was like, you know what? I already have way more flowers in my garden than I need for bouquets in my home. And this is a great way to be able to give them away to other people. And I really do believe in the large impact really small acts of kindness can have. So that has just been, it's sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. That's so nice of you, so kind. But to me, I also feel really good doing it. So it doesn't feel like I'm doing, something completely selfless, but it is nice to help spread joy. Plus, I need to harvest a lot of my cut and come again flowers so they continue to produce. So actually, people are doing me a favor by taking the bouquets. And I have gotten a greater response than I ever imagined. I have been left thank you notes that I keep. I've been left like little trinkets in return, and I do have all of those saved in a memory box. But without going into detail about some of the notes I've gotten, some are just like typical thank you notes. It was really nice to find. Some of those notes are people who maybe recently lost somebody, and something about finding the flowers reminded them of the person that they lost. And that just means so much to me if I can bring a little bit of happiness to somebody that's just walking by. So that is what I'm going to do today. I think there's actually probably more flowers on the front deck. I'm on the back deck now. I do have some dahlias I'm going to grab, which I think this is going to be the first giveaway bouquets of the season that I use dahlias in. I usually will make 2 at a time so far in the season, but I think as we start to get things ramped up and I have way more cut and come again flowers than I did previously, I might be able to make like 3 or 4 at a time, but I don't want to leave like 10 out front. I also do this during our garden walk, which is coming up. So that I will make even smaller mini bouquets, but I'm planning to make like 50 to give them away to people as they walk by. But I do this throughout the entire season, and it is really my favorite part of gardening. So what I have here, what I'm going to do first, well, first I'll take you around, show you which ones I'm going to harvest. I have 2 jars here. These are not the jars I use for my mini bouquets. I have a new favorite jar that I use for that I'll talk about. But this is what I gather all the flowers in, and then I will make the mini bouquets with these flowers. So let me take you around the back deck first. I'll show you what I'm going to harvest. We will harvest. We'll head to the front deck where I think there are more flowers that are ready, and then we'll get these bouquets made and left out front. Okay, so what I know for sure I'm going to take from back here are these 2 dahlias. So that's the Fairway Spur and the Thomas Edison. I'm going to take the zinnias, and again with that I'll do the wiggle test just to see if those are ready, but by looking at them they look pretty ready. Somebody also recommended, so even though petunias, if you trim them, they do flush back, I don't think they're technically like cut and come again flowers. However, they recommended that there is any leggy growth, like maybe like this, and I want to keep these a bit more contained. I can cut here, and these look really nice as fillers in bouquets as well. And I don't think I've ever put petunias in the bouquets, but I think they'll be perfect in the mini bouquets. I will probably grab some gomphrena. And let's see what else. I do have some status blooming, but that to me, I typically like to use more to dry, but we'll see if I want to put that in there. I do have gomphrena in the beds. I have cosmos flowers, but they don't really last very long in the bouquets, so I don't really like to use them for that. Ooh, I do have my asters. Maybe this will be the first giveaway bouquets with an aster. For this one, I do a similar test to the zinnias, like the wiggle test. This is still, it's like almost as stiff as I would want it to be, but it is still a little bit wiggly, so I don't know, we'll see, but maybe I will use that. I don't think, yeah, this is still wiggly, you are still wiggly, but aren't these gonna be so cool in bouquets? It's not fully open yet. This is the Hazaster Hagen light blue China aster. But that's probably the majority of what I'm gonna grab back here, I think. What is also working out really well timing wise is that we are headed out on a garden related vacation that I will share with you here. But because of that, sometimes if I'm just here every day, I do feel sad about cutting off a dahlia because it looks so pretty, even if it is time to remove it. But I'm going to be gone. So I am not going to be able to look at these every morning anyway. So I know they will be in their prime and go to somebody else who will get to enjoy them. But again, with cut and come again, if you want the plants to remain productive, you want to continue to harvest off of them. So let's get these harvested, put in the jars, and then we'll head over to the front deck. Now, as I'm going around harvesting, I am trying to look for bugs. However, some of the flowers, it's a little bit more difficult, like the dahlias, for example, because there are so many little nooks and crannies for them to hide in, but oh my goodness. I don't know if this is going to fit in the jars I was planning to use. I might have to use a larger jar, but look at how pretty. Let me come up close. So this is the fairway spur, and honestly, this is probably it in its peak right now. It's just so stunning, and oh, I'm so in love with it. I don't see any bugs right off the bat, but I'll do a better check once I'm actually making the bouquet. So we'll put you in there. Then we will grab the Thomas Edison, which you have a nice long stem. Here's a close-up on that one. I love the color of this one, just the richness of the purple. And even though it's really not as open as I would normally harvest, again, because I know we're going to be out of town, I'm going to take this one too. This is the lilac thyme, and there's actually, there's a cucumber beetle. All right, well, let me go take care of that. Okay, well, he is no longer with us, but I'm going to put this in here with these. That's probably the last dahlia, and I usually get cucumber beetles at some point. I'm not like happy if they're on, for example, my cucumber plants, but don't mess with my dahlias. Don't mess with them. So let's see, I think I'm going to grab some zinnias, and maybe that might be it. I'll save the petunias, I think, for at the end, kind of working in as fillers into the bouquets. I feel like something has been eating the zinnias as well, which doesn't make me happy, but I know it's a part of gardening. And I will say, I do find that the more plants I have and the more different varieties, the more beneficials I attract to help me aid in the pest removal process. So this is what I'm going to take right now. I am going to come back for more of the fillers, like I think with the gomphrena, the petunias. I will grab those once I start to make the bouquets and see what I have extra space for. But now, let's head over to the front deck. Out here on the front deck, which it is full of pollinators. I mean, there were some out back, but there are so many more up here that now I feel kind of bad taking these away from them. But there are a bunch of zinnias because I just did the July garden tour. I was trying to leave the zinnias as much as I could so that I could show you the different varieties. So there's definitely some that are ready to harvest. I hate when I scare them away, but I also can't help but get close. So I am going to harvest some of those. I am not going to harvest that sunflower because I love them too much and they don't produce that many that I need to keep those in the garden. I'm going to grab some of the giant Benary zinnias over here. And now that I have the dahlias that have the longer stems, and these have longer stems, I might make a different bouquet and actually might leave them for our cat sitter. Maybe that'll be a good idea. And then coming back here, more pollinators, and I'm definitely going to take at least one of the Mazurkia zinnias. I feel like I need to leave that one for the bumblebees, but those are ready to harvest. And then I have some more of the Zinderella zinnias in this bed that are ready to harvest. So let's go ahead and grab these. These are the flowers I've harvested so far. I actually think I have enough because I don't think I'm going to put out more than 3 bouquets out front. So I'm going to see what I can make with these first and then add in anything extra that I want to. So first off, well, let me say this. So far, I have not had to buy any jars. I did buy jars last year, but since I was doing this last year, I basically spent all winter and spring hoarding any jars that I could find. So that meant that I was also eating whatever was in jars so I could use them, which meant a lot of olives. And then a few months ago, we went to the grocery store and we found these little, I don't think it's technically pudding, but it was called petite pots, which are these jars, and it has different flavored, again, not technically puddings probably in it. And this jar is a much better size to use for my bouquets, and it's a lot easier to eat one jar of pudding than a whole jar of olives. So I have been loving these. We go to the grocery store and basically every time I get a pack, and then I'll eat them, I'll clean them, and I will use them for bouquets. And I mentioned that on Instagram, and then they sent me all of their flavors. So I did get, I think, 8 additional jars sent from them. So that was really nice. But I get mine from like Jewel, and the vanilla and the oat milk chocolate are my favorites. So these are probably going to be the jars I use the most often. But now I am thinking for some of these taller flowers, like this would look, even if I cut the stem, this would look pretty overwhelming in that little jar. Actually, maybe it's not too bad, but we'll see. I might have to use larger jars for the larger flowers. So I think I'm gonna make, I was gonna say maybe I'm gonna make the small ones first, but I'm just gonna play around with the flowers that I have harvested. I'm gonna use this taller jar, which I think was a tea bottle, I'm pretty sure, and maybe see how the larger flowers work in here. I mean, that just fits a lot better and makes a lot more sense. Oh, look how big that is. Oh, but I also wanted to leave the one for the cat sitters. So maybe I'll use this jar for this, which, I don't know, pickles, maybe? So, let's actually keep you in there. Maybe because you have a longer stem, I'll put you in this jar. And then maybe this dahlia is small enough that it would work. I think that would work in one of these. Yeah, I think that'll be cute. So I am not a florist. I am not a bouquet designer. I just make things that look pretty. And I feel like I used to be much harder on myself, and now I realize that people do not care. They just appreciate having flowers when they weren't expecting it. So it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, but I do like to make them look pretty, or at least as pretty as I feel like I can make them look. One thing that I've realized, and I realized this last year and didn't really do much to change it this year, is that I need more plants that can act as fillers, because I have a lot of like big flowers. Like I love zinnias, I love my dahlias, but I don't have a lot of light and wispy plants. What I really liked to use last year, I just would get baby's breath from the grocery store and then fill that for the bouquets I gave away at the garden walk as a filler, but I really didn't grow anything else that really works like that this year. So we'll make do with what we have. But again, people do not judge my bouquets as much as I judge my own bouquets. So let's go ahead, I will make these 3 and I will show you what I do next. So here's what I've ended up with, and here are my thoughts. So first of all, the Fairway Spur Dahlia, it's beautiful, but I couldn't figure out a way to fit it into a bouquet that didn't overwhelm all of the other flowers in it. So I'm going to keep this one for myself inside. I think I'm going to put it, I'm not going to leave it, well, actually it doesn't look too bad in this jar by itself, but I think I might put it in a taller, narrow bud vase and just have this dahlia sticking out. So this one is going to be for me. Then I have these other 4. So first off, in this taller bottle, I went for just, I don't know, bright colors. So I added in, I think the petunias here look nice, kind of draping over the taller bottle. I put in the Thomas Edison dahlia, I put in some zinnias. I think all of the Benary that I harvested are in here. One of the Cinderella, I think one of the Queen Lime with orange there. So this will be one that I'll put out front. And then I have these 3 in smaller jars. So for this one here, this is the other one that has the dahlia, the lilac thyme. And then I really like purple and orange together, so I went with the orangish zinnias in here. So a lot of the Queen Lime orange. This one's actually Queen Lime with blush. And then, oh, this was one of the precious metals. So this will be one bouquet. This will be another bouquet. I think this is my personal favorite one because I do love the Mazurkia zinnias. I put all 3 Mazurkia zinnias. I put all 3 lilac Cinderella, and then I did end up harvesting 2 China asters, and then I also added in some of the white echinacea. And then lastly, I have this one, and I just went with, well, this was kind of my leftover one, but I kind of went with red and orange tones in here, and I think I like how it turned out. So I have more echinacea in there, and then I have, this is the queen lime with red, and I think everything else is the same. This is another one of the precious metals zinnias from Floret. So I don't know which one I'm gonna save for the cat sitters. Maybe this one, because I do think it kind of stands out a little bit more with the giant dahlia, and then I'll put these 3 down front for people to take. So with that, let me show you what I do next. I do always have to make sure I don't accidentally bring a pollinator inside, and they do like to use the flowers even after they've been harvested, so I will wait a second to bring this inside. Now the last thing I do before I put them outside is I do make tags. So I last year just gave them away as is, anonymously, and then when I did get thank you notes in return, which again I do not expect at all, but when I did, it would be like, to whoever this is, and then I was like, you know what, maybe I should put some sort of like identifying information. So first off, I take one of these that I just got off of Amazon, and I write, sorry, my hand is blocking, I am left-handed, but I just write on it that it is for you. So I do have a sign downstairs that says free bouquets, but just to really make sure people understand they can take them, I write for you on these tags. And then I got, I think over the winter, this stamp. This is from Lad's Stamp. I think I found them on Etsy, but I ordered from their website. I'll link them down below, but they do custom stamps. So I have one that just says at Chicago Gardener. That way, again, I don't expect this, but just in case anybody wants to say thank you, they know who I am. So I'm going to, on the other side of the tag, I'm just going to add the stamp. And I think it came with, yeah, I'm pretty sure it came with the ink pad as well, or maybe I had to order it, but I got the ink pad from them. And then there we go, and I think that is really cute. So now I need some twine, and I will wrap it around the bouquets. But I will just twine through the hole that comes in these tags. And then around the stem, and I try to make sure the for you is out, or else that kind of defeats the purpose of telling people it is for them. I wrap that around and then just tie a little bow. Or a knot, because I can't really see what I'm doing right now at this angle. So there we go. So I'm gonna move this down to make sure people can see it. There we go. And then I will set it out front like that. So now I have 3 giveaway bouquets tagged and ready to go out front. I'm not gonna put a tag on the one for the cat sitters because they know who it's from. So I need to carry these downstairs and put them out front. And then when I do put them out there, I like to play a little game with myself of which one are they gonna take first? Because I know which one would be my preference, but obviously everyone has different preferences. So I'm always very excited to see which one goes first, in this case, second and then last. Usually I would say ones with dahlias go pretty quickly, but we'll see. Sometimes I am actually surprised. So I leave these out here on the sidewalk next to the sign, and also have to show off the Sheffield Garden Walk, and I leave it here until they're all gone. So that is going to be everything for this video. I don't know which bouquets we're taking yet, but like I said, this has become my favorite part of gardening, and I plan to continue to do this and save every single jar I can find for the foreseeable future. If you have any questions, let me know down below. If you haven't ever tried just leaving out random bouquets, give it a try and see what the response is like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.